I'm 4. I'm 90.
Life expectancy in 1900 in the United States was 47. By the end of that same century, it was 77. This change isn't finished with us yet. Old age is absolutely a new phenomenon. There is a crisis on the horizon, and we will surely reach it if we do nothing. But there is an alternative, and we're pursuing that alternative at the Stanford Center on Longevity.
The center has people who are extremely knowledgeable about all sorts of things in biology and physics and economics and psychology. And it can act as a place where the insights from all these different disciplines can kind of come together.
We aim to use science and technology and form partnerships with populations, communities, organizations, industries outside of the university so that we can improve the quality of life at all ages.
My specialty is the mechanics of walking. One of the things that happens with aging is walking changes. Under certain conditions like arthritis, it's painful. We said, well, perhaps we can intervene and change the way people walk to modify that.
And he's telling me that they have developed this variable stiffness sole, and I say to him, when's it going to be on the market? I want one.
Yeah, we're an engineering lab. We don't have business skills. So we came to the center and said, we have this shoe, and we're looking for various ways of getting it from the laboratory to actually people that it can benefit.
We believed that we could build here at Stanford an academic infrastructure, senior staff who would work with scientists and professors and postdocs and graduate students to help make sure that the discoveries that are made at the university actually are launched into the public so that we can change the way people live.
It ended up resulting in a patent being licensed to the walking company, which now sells the shoe.
I have the privilege at Stanford of serving as the Deputy Director of the Stanford Center on Longevity, and our mission there is lofty through science and technology to assure that we all achieve old age mentally sharp, physically fit, and financially secure.
Dr. Rindo's lab is interested in the biology of muscle stem cells, and in particular how those cells change with age.
We'd like to develop therapeutics to combat the kind of pathologies that you see with aging.
I view the Center for Longevity as a team in a sense, and that we're a member of that team on one end of a spectrum of aging research.
People are a little surprised when they see that I'm a pediatrician working on issues of longevity, but so much of what we're dealing with now in the older generations really could have been eliminated if we only prevented illnesses.
Most 18-year-olds can't even imagine what it's like to be 30, let alone 60 years old. The beauty of virtual reality is that it gives you an experience. Imagine that you could force a connection with one's future self, that is, to really have them feel what it's like to be older. The subject comes in, enters the virtual world, looks in a mirror, and instead of seeing the face as it is now, his avatar looks just like how he's going to look when he's 65. People saved more money when they saw an aged avatar of themselves compared to many control conditions.
Humans are creatures of culture. We look to culture to tell us when to get an education, when to marry, when to work, when to retire, and the social norms and the guideposts that really take us through life are ones that evolved around lives half as long.
There's a lot of talk about all these changes that need to be made. I was wondering what's being done to make Congress aware of it.
When we talk about aging and aging societies, it may be, arguably, that the elderly today are the least affected by the changes, but these students represent a generation whose lives will be irrevocably changed.
More people of my generation will live to be 100 than ever before. It's a definite mindset shift. As part of my studies with the Center on Longevity, I took a look at a game that we've all been playing since we were children. The game depends on luck. The roll of the dice, so to speak. Life ends when you reach retirement. This game leaves out about 30 years of the lifespan. So I decided to redesign the game of life. It begins at birth and ends at death. Life is not a race towards the end. And in fact, taking longer in certain areas of life has dividends. I intended it to be an educational tool, especially for young people.
We need new models of aging.
When you're inside oldness, as opposed to looking at it from the outside, fear subsides. You realize you're still yourself, maybe even more so.
We need now to begin to imagine the kinds of roles we can use for these millions of citizens. Older people are the only natural resource in the world that's actually growing.
I'm a more mature worker. I'm 91. As long as your brain is working, you can do these jobs, maybe even better.
Stanford can do for human aging what it did for communications technology in Silicon Valley.
It was through the center, both in terms of the intellectual connections that I formed and even the finances of helping fund this research that made the work possible.
The centenarians of the 22nd century are here and living among us today. They're the little ones on the playground, and it is our job to build a world that ensures that when they are 100 years old, they'll be healthy, physically fit, and financially secure. The Stanford Center on Longevity aims to redesign long life.